Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is my Finish It Friday for Friday, February 16th, 2024. So if you want to see what I've been working on this week, please stay tuned. I hope that everybody has had a great week. I've had what I consider a pretty successful week in my sewing room. I am really excited to share what I've been working on this week. I have most of this stuff is things that I've talked about before, but it's nice to have a cool little update. But there are a couple of new things that are coming down the pike. So let's get started. I want to start here with my great-grandmother's quilt. If you've been following me, this is a quilt that my great-grandmother pieced by hand, probably, well, she died in the 1960s, so it's older than that. And I am finishing up the quilt top. I'm making some repairs so that I can get ready to finish this out for my mom. I am currently working on this section of string blocks, and I'll just hold it up so that you can see the whole section. I've done a little bit on it this week. I only do like 25 minutes a week, and it looks like that day is Sunday for my hand stitching. And so I'll put some individual pictures here of the little sections that I did. But even like just looking at it now, it looks pretty cool to me. And I can't tell where I've made the repairs. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to be really nice. After I get done with this section, I don't think that there's a lot. I think there's like one more seam, like right in here, that I need to look at right there. And there may be, like, this may need a little bit of work if I haven't worked on it already. So the string section, the string blocks, I'm going to consider them nearly done. And then I'm going to move over to, I think, to these what I'm calling butterfly blocks. So they are, let me see, there are a few of them here on this side, right there, and then, oh, and more. So like right here, there's some, can you see those? And then right on this side, there are more butterfly blocks. So I think that'll be the next section, and it looks like I'm working up the quilt. If I consider the string blocks to be at the bottom of the quilt, I'm just going to work up this way, and I think it's going to work out nicely. I am a little bit concerned. I know you can see the staining right here. I'm not going to mess with it until I'm all done with the quilt. I'm not going to worry about cleaning it. I don't think. I'll talk to Mama and see what she says about if she thinks that we should try to clean it or just wait. So but yeah, these string blocks are looking good. I'm happy with how they're coming together. Again, one day a week for like 25 minutes. So this is not designed to be a fast project, and I'm not gonna rush it. So very excited to be working on this. It's like a piece of history in my family that I get to have a hand in. Another thing that I've been working on, oh, you can see it behind me, the butterfly garden quilt. I have it quilted. I pulled it off of the long arm, and I have the binding stitched along the front. I was debating about doing a flange binding on this, but I decided not to. I just wanted to use the leftover pieces from the backing, and I'll put a picture in here of what was left over. There were some pretty big pieces left over. So I took those pieces and cut them down into 2.5-inch strips, and I've created my binding out of those. And I think it looks really, really great. I do have to finish it by hand, which was not my first choice, but I think it's gonna look a lot nicer than trying to do a flange on this one. I will also put a picture of the back of the quilt here so that you can see it. I'm just so happy with it. It is super cute. I did a simple meander stitch for the quilting. Let me see if we can zoom in a little bit on it. Let's see. There we go. You can see the meander stitch that I did all over the quilt, and I did that in free motion, so it looks really nice. And it, to me, it really frames out, the butterflies are framed nicely, and the quilt top is just adorable. I can't wait to get it finished. So that is almost done. Just have to finish the binding by hand and make a label for it, and it's gonna be ready to go. So exciting. Another thing that I did while I was piecing, backing fabric and all that, everything fell. I decided to start another leader ender project. And I think I've talked before about the Jacob's Ladder blocks, and I decided as my leader ender project, since I got that last postage stamp quilt block done, I want to start doing some Jacob's Ladder blocks. And so I've been working on those just as a leader ender. These are probably not in the right order, but I have just a few 2 patches done. And so these little squares, they're going to turn into our 4 patches, and then I will do the half square triangles and get everything put together. But I have this many done so far, and I'm interested to see what this block looks like, because I have some pretty out there kind of fabrics. So I'm interested to see how they come together to make the block. So I have this many, 2, 4, 6, 8. I have 2 more 2 patches to do to create my 5 4 patches, and then I'll work on my half square triangles. This is a leader ender project, so I do not expect to finish it, you know, quickly. I'm just going to work on it as I work on other projects. The goal is to make 30 blocks for this quilt. There'll be 12.5 inches unfinished around there, and so it will give me a nice 60 by 72 quilt when I'm done. So just something cute to do. And for my background, I'm using leftover backing fabric, that gray paisley. I got it, it's like 108 fabric, and I've been cutting it down to use as background for this. So I think it's gonna be a great quilt, just putting it together a little bit at a time. All right, now one more thing. I think this is the last thing. Yeah, so last week I mentioned a memory quilt that I'm working on, and I got the commission. And the reason that I'm actually filming today on Saturday, was because I was waiting on this book to get in. I'm really excited about this quilt. As I was going through the fabrics, I'm going to show you. I have 3 stacks here. I have a stack of some squares that are going to remain whole squares in the quilt. And then I have a stack of larger squares that are going to become a different type of block. And I have not stabilized these yet. And then I have another stack of the larger squares that I've already stabilized. And I was waiting because I wanted to get this book in. My inspiration for this quilt, I've been really watching the Fabric Cafe videos for the 3-yard quilts. And as I was pulling the fabric out for this quilt, I saw these huge, beautiful prints. This one is my favorite one out of all of them, I think. But there's some other black and whites. There are some blues here. Let's see. Here's another one that's so pretty. And so my dilemma was about how to incorporate all of these fabrics in a quilt. My initial thought was to do a flying geese block, that one that goes all the way around, but I decided not to because these fabrics are so bold. I didn't want to cut them down too much. Also, that would make making the quilt a little more tedious, and so I decided maybe I don't want to do that. But as I said, I've been watching these 3-yard quilt videos, and one of the blocks stuck out to me, and I went to, I couldn't find it. I wasn't sure what it was. And then as I was scrolling to try to find the book, I found this book. This one is called Easy Does It 3-Yard Quilts. And what struck me is the quilt on the cover. And I've seen this block or this quilt in their videos, but when I saw these huge prints, I was like, this is my inspiration for the block. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit on the quilt. It's called Time Machine. Let me see if I can make it big so you can see it. There we go. And what is cool about this quilt is that it's only 2 blocks. It has a single large block and then a smaller hourglass block. Well, no, wrong. It has a single square and then it has the hourglass block. So when I looked at the pattern in this book, typically the 3-yard quilts are kind of lap size, but I need this one to be a double. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And so here's the pattern is here in the book. But as I was looking at it, I knew that I couldn't make blocks this small because I didn't want it to be a lap size quilt. So I'm kind of supersizing the blocks to 12.5 unfinished, and that will give me a quilt that is about 60 by 72. So that's the goal, to get to use inspiration from this book to make this quilt, and I think it's going to be just amazing. So as it stands now, I'm going to, for the next week, focus on stabilizing all of these fabrics, and then I have to cut them down to size. So right now, the stabilizers, the fabric is kind of hanging out of the stabilizer, so I'm going to cut these down to the hourglass blocks. I'm going to start with 14-inch squares, and then the single squares I'm going to start at 12.5, but I've cut these bigger because some of them are stretchy fabrics and all that stuff, so I want to make sure I have enough space to stabilize, and then I will cut the actual blocks from them and get everything rolling. So I'm really excited about how this quilt is going to come together. There was a bit of embroidery that I needed to do, and I say do, but I had it done for the quilt. They asked for this to be incorporated in the quilt, so it's going to be one of the large squares, but I'm so excited to put everything else together in these big hourglass blocks and see how everything flows together in the quilt. And I will bring you along each week during my Finish It Friday as we put this thing together. So I think that's it. Oh, there is maybe one more quilt coming down the pike. I think I'm going to get a commission for a rainbow quilt, so I'm excited to share that, but it's not ready to be shared yet, but I'm so excited. And I actually have a shoebox over there with the stuff already in it, so that hopefully will be coming up soon. My goals for next week, as I said, get this stabilized. It would be awesome to finish up this quilt by hand and then do just my 25 minutes on my grandma's quilt, great grandma's quilt. If I can get started on the rainbow quilt, I definitely will do that, but I'm gonna wait and see what comes of the commission first. But since I've already pulled the fabrics, I think it would be great just to make that quilt anyway, but I'm not ready yet. There was one more thing. Oh, there may be a surprise in next week's video because I'm going to take on a special project the project I've never done before. So we'll see if I can get it rolling on either Monday or Tuesday of next week. So let me know in the comments what you're working on, what you're excited about. I love seeing what you guys are doing in your sewing and crafting rooms. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave it in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!